SP3 Daytona. Okay guys, welcome back to Six Cars. I know it's been a bit of time. There's been a bit of a lull with car stuff going on in Toronto, but we're back. We're going to be doing a very old school classic style video today. Some good old fashioned car spotting, and our ride of choice today for our drive along car spotting, a 991 GT2 RS. So I'll flip the camera around in a second and give you guys an up close look at that, what our ride will be for the evening. And towards the end of the season in Toronto is always very good because, as you know, we have terrible winters here. Everyone wants one last hurrah in their supercars. So I'm sure we can find some pretty good stuff today. I think it's going to be very fun. So of course, remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share. You guys already know the buttons. Let's flip the camera around and check out the GT2 RS, and then let's hit the road. So here it is, the GT2 RS. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys will probably be very familiar with this because this is YYZ Curator's GT2 RS, and a huge shout out to him for obviously giving us the ride along today for our car spotting journey. But obviously, if you look inside, it is a lot of yellow going on with the exterior. Obviously, it has the YSEC package, so you can see all the carbon fiber accents running through the hood all the way to the roof, right back to that massive rear wing. Now, an incredibly rare car, as you guys know. There's not too many of these roaming around the streets, and obviously this one has been fitted with a yellow roll cage and Schroff harnesses, which look fantastic. Got the fire extinguisher down there, so you got the full race car style with this GT2 RS. And if you close the door and shift around to the back, I think this is probably my favorite angle of the GT2 RS because obviously, as you guys can see, much different appearance wise compared to the GT3s and obviously the GT4s. There's a lot more air going on with the GT2. The wing is what really stands out to me. It's much higher from the 991 generation of cars. Obviously, it's sort of been trumped by the 992 GT3 RS with that DRS swan neck wing, but from the 991 gen, the GT2 RS is obviously the craziest of the family. And just have a look at the back. This is, like I said, my favorite angle of this car. There's so many cool little aspects to look at, and when we get inside the car, go for a drive, you guys can obviously hear how good it sounds, you can see how it rides, and we'll be able to see a ton of other cool cars today in Toronto. So I think without further ado, we will use our color matched yellow key and jump into the GT2 RS and get underway with our spotting journey. Now, obviously, if you guys are not local to Toronto, this is sort of, I guess, Rodeo Drive or Shake Shack Road in Tokyo. This is our hub for car spotting, is Yorkville. So this is the #1 spot to check. It's a nice M2 there, the new generation. Sneaky McLaren GT, finally our first supercar. There we go, we've got a nice Huracan Performante Spider. Obviously with the STO coming out, it's way more extreme, a full-on homologated Super Trofeo car. I think the Performante is actually somehow a bit understated, even though it is still a crazy looking car, but compared to the STO, much cleaner look. It's a lovely spec on the A12. Gray on the red, very nice, non-traditional. Well, this is quite the incredible find on a random Wednesday night of car spotting, a SP3 Daytona. I hope this is a sign of good things to come because this is absolutely incredible. I've not even seen one out in the wild here in Ontario or Toronto yet. So yeah, just a random surprise. You never know what you're going to find when you're down in Yorkville. And it looks like Rosso Fuoco. It's like a dark red. You can see obviously it has these like gold bronzish wheels. Very, very nice looking car. We did see a few back in Monterey, obviously, and definitely one of my favorite modern Ferraris. You can see there's a lot of old styling cues. I don't know if they want us going to the back of the car, so I'm not going to get that angle. But you can obviously see there's some like classic styling on the gills here. Very like 80s flair to it. It has a lot of like Testarossa, that kind of vibe to it, or a 512 BB. This is such a cool looking car, and I think one of my favorite features is obviously the front headlights. You can see there's that little tiny slit that is covering the top half right now, sort of like a modern day pop-up. When you turn the car on, when you turn the headlights on, that will slide up and expose the full headlights. But man, that is a crazy surprise that I was definitely not expecting to see on a Wednesday night. There's a fleet of Maybachs rolling through here. Not sure what that's for, but nice looking cars, obviously. As we've gone out of the dark of night here, we're in a parking garage. You can sort of hear the nice raspy sound of the GT2 RS. Yeah, remember a while back we we rode in that GT3 RS with the Soul Performance exhaust. This sounds a lot different, obviously. You can hear those turbos spooling. It's a really cool, unique sound. I'm not sure if you guys like the NA of the GT3 RS or the turbo of the GT2 RS, but they are very cool and unique sounds, and I'm really, really liking the inside of this GT2 RS. Look at this, guys. We got a whole mob of people out here, and for very good reason. We do have the yellow F50 down here in Yorkville. It's always good to get a hypercar down in the hub of Toronto car spotting, but when it's a 90s supercar like the F50, this is that much more special. And we did see this one back in the owner's collection, I would say a couple of months ago, but it was obviously tucked in with other cars in the lifts, very hard to see. But here under the night lights in the heart of Yorkville, it looks so much better. It's way cooler to see these things out in the wild. What a great surprise this is. Now, obviously, we are way more used to seeing F50s and F40s and Enzos in red, but I think it's always nicer when we do see it in a less traditional color. And personally, I think yellow Ferraris are the best. I really don't think you can go wrong. I think it suits every single Ferrari so damn well, especially on a legend like the F50 out in the wild. Once again, it's just so freaking cool. It's just such a great opportunity. Only a handful were finished in yellow, and if you guys don't know, it's actually quite a hassle to take the roof off of an F50, so you got to be very committed. You've got to check the weather beforehand, make sure it's not going to rain if you want to take this out for a drive with that roof off. So shout out and kudos to the owner for toughing this out, enjoying the last bit of nice weather we are going to have here, or the nice bit of summer weather we have here in Toronto, Canada, to show off this F50. And I don't know, I think towards the end of the spotting season here in Toronto, things get pretty lively because everyone knows it's the final hurrah before winter. So I have a feeling we are going to be seeing even more big cars in a very short time frame. Maybe the next couple weeks is going to be pretty exciting for car spotting on the channel. We have one more surprise aside from obviously the yellow F50. We do have the G650 Laundalet. So only a handful of these in the world. Drake, obviously one of the owners, and here is a second one in Toronto, being guided by the newly married Zach Braille over there. How about that, guys? So slight pandemonium, obviously. That's what a yellow F50 will do. So we'll catch it driving. I've walked away from the crowd just a little bit so we can get the best angle. So I'll flip the camera around here, finally get some driving action.
Welcome to Six Cars, everyone. We are at Cars and Boba.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
And we've got ourselves a little car meet starting here to finish off the night with a very eclectic mix, and it's going to fill up quite a bit as the night goes on. But you got everything from a Huracan STO to a GR Supra. Got a Heritage Edition Shelby GT500 over there, which looks fantastic, and I love that like bluish silver color as well. Look at this, the old Civic sedan. We've also got a crazy boosted EG hatch, and I kind of want to take a peek under the hood here so you guys can see exactly what's going on. There's a ton of work done to it, obviously. I think I've overheard saying it's pushing out like 800 of the wheels, but I do love the Spoon 5 spokes there as well. And another cool modified JDM car, we do have the Rocket Bunny ND Miata, looking fantastic. Rocket Bunny kit's obviously quite eccentric, but I think it does suit the Miata really well, especially this giant rear wing is really unlike anything else. I know Rocket Bunny really specializes these ginormous wings bolted right onto the trunk, but hey, that's a pretty good looking build. Got the GTR lineup too, obviously my personal favorite. Got the R32, got a blue one over there as well. In the middle though, YYZ Curator has switched out the GT2 RS for the 4-door Autech R33 GTR. So incredibly rare. Most people don't even know this exists, but it is a real, genuine GTR. They did build a sort of an anniversary special. So obviously extremely rare. You rarely don't see these anywhere. So very cool to see an R33 GTR 4-door, but I absolutely love this R32. My goodness, this dark blue, obviously the carbon fiber hood, the Anki RPF ones, and the gold Brembo brakes. It's really a very good looking build. And shouts out to Initial D as well. Got the Night Kids sticker on the back. I don't remember who the character was that actually drove the R32 in that show, but he was terrible at driving, always crashed the damn car. But as you can see, this guy's obviously got in much better condition. Such a good looking car. Shouts out to the 370, guys. Looks like we got the Veris front bumper on it, and shouts out to the Swan Neck Voltex wing. That does suit the car very well.
Guys, you need to subscribe to the channel so we can buy Kyle a mic, because he's talking like 2 inches away from his phone.
If you guys heard any of that, but look at that. We do have a 992 GT2 RS behind us. That's a pretty good looking spec too. A Zero Thetis, I believe, on the GT4 RS. Very nice. And oh, we got a whole group of Porsches here. You got the Manthey 992 GT3. Oh, 911 ST, I believe. First one we've seen out in the wild. We got the Ruby Star GT4 RS as well. Not a bad little lineup. And an FL5 too. And a very good looking FK8 as well. With looks like some Voltex parts done to it. Wow, we got a ton of cars rolling in now. So there's our first, I guess, yeah, that's our first 911 ST for the channel. So essentially a GT3, but it does have a lot of modifications, like as you can see here, GT3 RS doors, and yes, it should be a manual. Yeah, there we go, confirmation. So this is a pretty interesting launch, I would say. I think it sits a little bit above the Sport Classic, but obviously it's a very raw car and a very classic styling, I would say. So I would sort of say this is in line with like a 1970s Carrera RS in terms of where it sits in the standing. I know obviously the GT3 RS is the natural successor, but the ST sort of like a happy medium, I would say, between the RS and a standard GT3, and very understated. There's no huge wing or anything like that. It does look really good, but I think the coolest part about it is those RS doors. You can obviously see the small intake just behind the rear wheels. Very cool looking. And GT Silver is a pretty damn good looking color for that car too. Very understated. I do like it.
Spill Rex's car.
We've got 3 Hurricanes. Obviously, we've got the 580 Spider here, but 2 nice STOs. We saw the white and the red one earlier, but this sort of like matte or satin yellow is a really nice color. I'm not sure if it's a wrap or it's factory, but either way, it's a very good looking spec. Most of them have like a body painted color with the different colored accents, but this one's just full like matte satin gold, really nice. And a classic resale red. Rosso Corsa 458. Now, even though it's a pretty bland spec, I still prefer the 458 over the newer ones like the 488 and the F8, the likes of that, because the sound on the NA V8 from a 458 is so damn good.
For around like 200K.
And a couple of Supras too. We got the Mark III, got the Mark IV, and of course we've got the GR Supra, the Mark V over there. So you kind of take your pick between which generation you like the best. Obviously most people go for the 2JZ, but I don't know, I think Mark IIIs are pretty understated and quite overlooked. I think between this and like the FCRX7, there's just a lot of cool stuff about these late 80s early 90s JDM cars, and I think the Mark III is I think it's a pretty underrated car. I think that's very cool looking. But obviously Mark IV is probably still the king, and no questions asked there. But nice to see 3 different generations of the Supra lined up here at the meet. And we got to show off this Evo too, because it's absolutely beautiful, the CP9A. But check out the white Rally Art NK wheels with the red Brembos behind it. Man, this is just such a damn good looking spec, especially against the silver as well. Just suits the car perfectly. I absolutely love it. And we got a race prepped DC2 over here as well with the USDM headlights. But have a look at the rear wing on the back of this thing. That is a certified downforce hero right there. That is just massive. It's a custom job, obviously, and I can only imagine he's probably done quite a bit under the hood.
If you like more boba and cars content and you want him to post more often, how many likes do we want?
I don't know. How many likes can we get? That's the question, especially with her. I have no idea. I think she's making it substantially worse, but you guys can comment what you think about it. Guys, I'd say that's pretty much it for our quick little spotting journey here in Toronto. And honestly, for a random weekday night, I would say it's pretty good. 2 legendary Ferraris. Got the yellow F50 and of course that very surprising SP3 Daytona, the first one we've seen out on the streets here in Toronto. And of course it was all capped off by rolling in the YYZ Curator GT2 RS, which was a phenomenal late mobile. So I hope you guys enjoyed that quick little spin around Toronto. We do have some very cool events coming up in the future, the very near future, so stay tuned for that. It's like I mentioned at the start of the video, it's almost time for winners, so events will be coming fast and furious as everyone tries to get a few more drives in for the rest of the season. But again, I remind you guys to subscribe, like, comment, and share. We'll see you next time on 6 Cars.